Hello and welcome to another episode, our final episode of the season, Jack, of Fast Football and Philosophy, with me, Dr. Adam Foxon.
Me, Professor Jack Cunningham.
Last week we looked at Stoicism and in particular Harry Kane, who might be a surprising Stoic to some.
It's going to be a surprise to him.
That's really tickled me. And how he's internalized the external, and how just briefly explain again kind of the stoic success of Harry Kane.
Harry Kane has taken on this thing. Remember Marcus Aurelius? Now, forget about Marcus Aurelius in the film Gladiator talking to Russell Crowe. Put Harry Kane in there. If in your imagination, insert Harry Kane. He's chatting away to Russell Crowe, and Russell Crowe saying to him, "How am I going to be the best gladiator?" Right? And he says, "You've got to become an old man very quickly in this game."
Yes, there we go.
Okay, so you internalize things. Now, I don't know whether you noticed this about the film, that Russell Crowe's character, was he the strongest person? Was he the most athletic person in the ring, in the arena? Or was he the most thoughtful? Did he know most about tactics? First thing he does, he organises his men around him.
He's the commander, isn't he?
He's the commander, he's the pilot of the ship, he's the tiller,
yes.
He's a stoic, and so is Harry Kane. And Harry Kane, honest to God, I hope they make a Gladiator 3. Get Harry Kane doing Marcus Aurelius, be perfect. You make me a straight swap.
Have you seen any adverts with Harry Kane in it?
No.
Yeah, no, he's a stoic robot.
Well, he's probably a busy man. Let's get him out of retirement one day when he's about 70, and we'll.
Well, he wants to be an NFL kicker.
Oh, does he?
So after football, he wants to go to America and he wants to be in the NFL. He wants to be a kicker.
I think he'd be better off with Gladiators.
on actual
TV show. He could be the Marcus Aurelius of the TV show Gladiators.
Nice.
He's giving advice out to whoever. The Cobra, is that one of them?
Cobra, yeah. I don't know, is Cobra still on it?
Don't know.
It's probably a bit old now, isn't it? There's this, I don't know his name. There's this guy I saw on TV, I can't remember his bloody name now, but he seems to be like the big bad of it, because Cobra was the big bad, wasn't he?
Yeah. Anyway,
that's a chat for another time.
They seem to me to be desperately in need of some stoic advice.
They do.
Harry's your man.
Yeah, I think the BBC are in desperate need of some stoic advice. Okay, brilliant. So this week we're going. We're doing a little bit of a surprise chat because it's Boxing Day.
Yay!
So
Happy Christmas, everyone.
And I'm actually going to be looking at today's really busy schedule of football and fixtures, because there are a shed load, as there always are.
Yeah.
And there's a big thing in England about us being this kind of old nation A, having football around for 150 odd years B, and how it's really important that we maintain the traditions that we have. Right? We've always been quite a traditional country in that sense, that we honour our traditions and we place a lot of value in them. But what I'm interested in is because at the moment there's been a lot of talk about football's winter break, especially on the continent, because they've always had one, and they always seem to win all the World Cups.
Yeah.
We don't seem to win any World Cups, even though we've got all the best and brightest players here.
Yeah.
And that's because potentially we don't have any recreational time for our players. So what can you tell me about recreation from a philosophical point of view?
Yeah, okay, so Bertrand Russell has something really interesting to say about this, and he's just such a great writer, isn't he? It's very entertaining to read. So he says that civilization was imposed very, very quickly on ancient Greece, okay? And the difference between civilization and what came before it is a prudence versus impulse. So prudence takes over in civilization from impulse. So a hunter-gatherer, let's say me and you are hunter-gatherers, and we say,
easy, have you seen me, Jack?
I say, don't you fancy some berries? And you say, yeah, mate, it's an impulse. We don't have to do anything else except go and get the berries. What about a nice bit of deer to go down with that? Let's go hunting. So we go and we hunt, and there's no kind of, this is all impulse. There's not much reason comes in. Then reason comes in, and we have agriculture. Right now, I'm going to have a different conversation with you. I'm going to say, Adam, that field over there, we're going to have to plough it today. And you're going to say, well, yeah, what do I get at the end of the day for that? And I'll say, nothing, mate. And you say, well, what about the end of the week then? Still nothing. Well, no matter how can
still nothing.
I'll say to you, but in September, and you say, September? It's February, mate. I'm not. But I would persuade you, you see, there's never a bit of prudence, Adam.
So it's about delayed gratification.
It's delayed gratification, okay? And that's all part of civilization. It's very, very important. And the payback is very great, except for one thing. Me and you are ploughing fields and we're gathering in the corn and we're getting rid of whatever you have to, weeds and stuff.
Really hard.
We're working really hard, right? And that's all very prudent, and we like that, except me and you, we remember kind of genetically almost the passion and the impulsive behaviour. So every now and again, we've got to have a bit of that.
We let loose.
We've got to, and Bertrand Russell says, luckily though, the Greeks invented beer. They didn't invent beer, they discovered beer. Then, even better, they discover wine, so now we can do that. And we kind of have feast days now, which we would call holidays, where being intoxicated is a very, very important part of that, because it brings up those passion and impulses again.
Sure.
Because custom and law makes that prudence, it enforces that prudence amongst us. So most of the time, 48 weeks of the year, we're being very, very prudent, okay? Yeah. But we've got to have the release valve has got to go. When we're not being prudent, we're being passionate and impulsive. And it's incredibly important to us because then we can go back to the plough again. Also, it's incredibly creative. Prudence isn't creative. Bertrand Russell says if you want to be creative, you have to get intoxicated. And you know what they called it, Adam? This is really interesting.
What?
The Greeks called it enthusiasm, right? So you go up onto the hill and you worship Dionysius. The women were brilliant at doing this. Women's night out up on the hill, where they get absolutely off their trolleys, right? And they get enthusiastic. And enthusiasm means God enters you.
Right.
And God gives you the passions and gets you off your head and makes you ecstatic. This is ancient Greek raves, this is what's going on here. Really, really.
But without the ecstasy.
Without the ecstasy, just wine and beer and all that went with it.
So so just to bring it back in today then, we're always told, especially nowadays, to be prudent financially.
Yeah.
And you always put that little bit of money in the bank, and you want to invest in this, and you want to put it in an ISA or a LISA or whatever they're called, because I'm not very solvent at all, Jack. And so you want to be prudent as much as you can, but then you kind of get that. Oh, I've got a little bit of money in my pocket, and it's burning a hole in my pocket.
Yeah.
It's that burning in your pocket.
Yeah.
That's that impulse, isn't it? That's you wanting to kind of I want to go on a night out. I want to go buy that car. I want to go. That kind of, you're right, almost like a genetic impulse to kind of let loose a little bit. And
so that's why we completely jettison prudence at Christmas, don't we? So we do go out and we drink too much, and we do go out and we spend what we haven't got, or what we think we've got, or what we imagine we've got when we're intoxicated. So that's ecstatic. So that's what it is all about. It's about being imprudent for a time of the year. Yeah. Okay. Other philosophers take this even further, Adam, and this is where it's going to be really important for football, okay? And they talk about, especially historians of religion, they say all over the world, from the Iroquois Indians to Maoris to African to Europeans, you get at this time of year a struggle between darkness and light, between life and death, between green and dark. So light and life have got to win, okay, and that recurs all over the place. So this eventually becomes personified. So Aristotle tells us that in Athens, Dionysus gets married to this royal cohort from the gods, right? And they have a baby. And in the festival that takes place for this personification of this light and dark thing, they have a baby in a crib. Ring any bells?
A little bit.
Yeah, a little bit.
I've heard this story.
So the argument is that this is...
Up in a tree in that story.
Well, that's a noble part, Adam. You can't have that story without a decent tree. There's many a nativity play being ruined by a bad tree. So I wouldn't feel bad. Okay, so again, it goes through, and this again, we're getting closer and closer to why it's important for football, okay? It goes through 4 classic stages.
Right.
First of all, mortification, everything's dead, and it's all black and it's all dark,
Sure.
okay? Purification, okay? So in purification, we're all going to start trying to fight this darkness now by purifying ourselves.
Okay.
So typically in Advent, the whole of Advent in England, you couldn't eat meat and you couldn't have sex.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're purifying ourselves and we're getting ready. Then there is invigoration comes from that, right?
Right.
We're all getting invigorated
Hello.
now. I know, exactly, because for lots of times in lots of cultures, that involves sexual license, as they called it. Do you know what they used to do in the Ukraine? And they may still do this. They're getting all the crops, right, on the fields. They're planting all the crops. Then couples roll all over the crops. And their sexuality, their lust goes into the crops and ensures a good crop. So, so this is invigoration, and then after invigoration, jubilation, which is food and drink and company. And it's not just your relatives, it's your ancestors and the gods. And you all cement those bonds of society. This is Christmas, mate. This is Christmas. You've all had your role in the field. You go back to your family, and not only you're eating, but you're remembering Auntie Bridget, and you talk about your ancestors, and then kind of like the enthusiasm enters them. We're all having a good drink. We're all got loads of food. We're all losing our prudence. And we get enthusiastic, so the gods are there as well at the table with our ancestors. And it's all about invigoration, because it produces an invigorated person in January when we need it the most. We need to be most vigorous, most active,
When it's at its darkest and all the rest of it.
Yeah, because we're still struggling. And so, but we can do it because we're all rejuvenated.
So this idea then is, people talk about this thing called sadna, don't they? The seasonal affective disorder, I think it might be.
Yeah.
And how we all get really, really sad as it gets kind of closer and closer towards Christmas. But Christmas seems to be that natural kind of antidote to that, because everyone gets really, really excited for it.
Yeah.
And we're getting excited because Christmas is a kind of invigorating thing where we kind of all go for a... Is that where we get like kind of going for a roll around the hay and all that kind of stuff?
Absolutely, yeah. In the Ukraine, I love this. The priest blesses the field, right? And then then the couples take over. Okay, Father, thank you very much. Your work here is done.
He's tagging people in.
I like the idea of this field with multiple couples bumping into each other. Sorry, carry on.
There's that. There's this really, really famous, I don't know if you've seen it, there's this really famous story, it happens every single year. I can't remember where in England it is, but there's this swinging festival. And it's just like a massive, and they take up like massive field, and then you have to obviously you have to get entry and all the rest of it, it's all kind of, whatever.
Yeah.
Kind of well marshalled as it have to be.
Yeah.
But all the people around that field are complaining about the noise, because everyone's just shagging. And you think, they need a priest. They need a priest to bless it.
That's what needs to happen, yeah. But we always think of these things, oh God, the 21st century, the swinging 60s brought all this.
Because we're too prudent, aren't we?
We're too prudent, this is ancient.
We're prudes.
We're prudes, absolutely, yeah. This is all ancient stuff when we realised that, prudence is good, it does bring return, civilization brings return, but you've got to be imprudent sometimes. If you don't, then the biggest enemy of it is a lack of creativity.
Yeah.
Prudent puritanical societies were good at lots of things. They became very, very good at agriculture. One thing they didn't produce was good art. And that's what Bertrand Russell says is an important thing. You've got to be impassioned and imprudent to make great art.
And again, this makes total sense when we relate it back to football.
Yeah.
Right? Because we talk about footballers, especially nowadays, because there's so much cash in the game, and so many people take it so very seriously. The football players themselves almost become an avatar for that seriousness. It's like, you have to take it as seriously as I take it, because you're the one playing it. You're the one that I'm pinning all my hopes and dreams on. I want to be able to go to my school in the morning and not get picked on because I support Southampton, right? Not that ever happened to me, right? But
they had respect for you. You were the tree in the nativity. you won your respect on that playground, Adam.
Honestly, you should have seen me, Jack.
I can see
You
it
should
now.
have seen me. Actually, you couldn't see me for the wood for the trees.
Oh.
Thank you, swing. But I guess the thing is that we always tell these players that they have to be prudent all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But actually, ancient philosophy, this is a hard-fought wisdom that's been around for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Is that actually imprudence can be invigorating.
Yeah.
So when you see a Jesse Lingard and he's opening up his own little fashion agency or whatever it was, and he's going to these he's going to all these parties and all the rest of it.
Mm-hmm.
That actually can be a little bit invigorating, and obviously you have to be a little bit wise. You have to be a little bit kind of stoic, I guess. You have to really think about when you can do that.
Yeah.
But the winter period seems to be the prime place to do it. That's what philosophy is telling us to do. When it gets dark, when it gets a bit more miserable, we need that reinvigoration. And so we should let players let loose a little bit. They should be able to enjoy Christmas with their families.
There's an important distinction to make here as well that Sartre makes, and so does Bertrand Russell. There is a difference between time off and holiday. Okay, so you could argue English players get time off. That means 2 days, whatever, at Christmas. It's not a holiday. You can't drink, you can't be imprudent, you can't let your hair down, you can't celebrate because you've got that match hanging over your head. And it's only 48 hours away, it's only 24 hours away. Yeah. So that is time off. It is not a holiday, and holiday is the one that will reinvigorate you, make you inventive, will give you rejuvenation, and that's what's happening in. Did I tell you about the dates of next matches, right?
No, go on.
All right, Benfica, and they've got their next game on the 28th of December. Okay, so that's a bit of a better break than the English clubs are getting. Roma 29th. Right. All right, again, a little bit more. Real Madrid, 4th of January is their next game after Christmas.
Straight back in.
Bayern Munich, 11th of January.
Yeah.
They can have a holiday in Bayern Munich, in Munich down there.
They're in the beer halls, aren't they?
Exactly. Because then, around about 4 or 5 days before you go back, you're feeling okay now. Yeah. I've been imprudent. I've done all my stuff. I've rolled in the fields. So that's a holiday. They go back after a holiday, not time off.
You see, and actually, I think this is really important because as football becomes this media content and as it becomes ever more scrutinised, as it is now, and footballers nowadays are always a lot more kind of secretive around their personal lives because they don't really get personal lives anymore. And, they can't kind of go to a nightclub and enjoy themselves without someone catching them on their phone. Or whatever it might be. Ivan Toney's recently fallen foul of this. So Ivan Toney a couple of years ago was caught in a betting scandal or something. I think he was betting on his own games or whatever he was betting on. And a fan recently not a fan of his, but a football fan kind of saw him in the nightclub and said, "Oh, have you got any tips for the weekend?" Obviously he's punched him, right? And obviously everyone's got it. And if you see the pictures of him being led away by the police into the back of a van, cameras everywhere. He's literally almost like a catwalk of cameras. Because you just can't get away with it anymore. If you talk about footballers from the 80s and 90s, and even the early noughties to an extent, they would all talk about this thing called the Tuesday Club.
Right.
Have you heard of the Tuesday Club?
I've never heard of that.
You would go drinking on Tuesday because you wouldn't have a game otherwise. So you wouldn't have. So on a Saturday you might go for a drink afterwards. Yeah. It might be a heavy one. If you win, then chances are you're not training on the Sunday. Yeah. You come back on the Monday, then you train and you have a bit of a debrief and all the rest of it. Tuesday after training, you all go for a drink, and then you've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to recover. And then you're playing again on Saturday. So it's the perfect time to go. So Tuesday Club was always a big thing. You always go drinking on Tuesday. And, they are hitting it hard. Like, they go to their pub and then they go to the nightclub. And it's all day. And then on Wednesday morning, everyone's spewing up and all the rest of it. The managers don't care. Because actually, it's really invigorating for that kind of fancy people call it an esprit decor, this team spirit. Because and it's invigorating for everyone to kind of not go for a roll around, because I'm sure the players weren't doing that with other players. But I'm sure they are all doing that in their own way. They're having that kind of that revelry, isn't it? That comes along with this kind of stuff.
And Tuesday would have worked as well because the pubs and nightclubs would have been quieter. Like, so they're not getting hassled by people and asking them for tips for the weekend. Like, you know, they can have a reasonably under the radar time if they go out on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So.
And so it makes sense to me, Jack. This makes sense, and I think on saying that though, as the academics we are, we have to be led by the science, don't we?
We do.
And the science is a bit. The science, when I say the science, the academic research on this is a bit split because because it can be really, really good in terms of injury prevention. So if you give the players a holiday, not just time off, because we're not using any of that capitalist language here, are we? Right? Not after post-colonial alienation, we're not. and so if you give players a holiday and you give them a decent chunk of time, then actually that can be really good for injury prevention, injury recovery, all these kinds of things. However, recent studies have shown, and I've got one here from Jamil et al. From the Uni of Suffolk in 2020. Their study has shown that actually, if it's for a period of 13 days or more, then shooting deteriorates, passing deteriorates quite significantly. And so actually we've got to be really careful about the way in which we give these players their holidays and allow them to be reinvigorated.
Okay, so what I'm going to pick up on there is a word you just used, okay, and it's careful, okay, and that's what prudence is, and that's what academics are. They are prudent. So this was a scientific study.
I said that we're prudes as well.
Well, we might be, because we're trained that way. We are trained to be scientific and prudent. This was a University of Suffolk study that produced this. What if you didn't do that? What if you brought in things like the fans? They've all had a break and they come back invigorated after that break. Are they going to be a better 12th man? What about the camaraderie that now is in the dressing room? So I would imagine, I haven't looked at that study in detail, but imagine first few games, passing and is not as accurate and shots on target and all. But have you built something else that means it's only going to be for a couple of days, and it's take the hit. Take the hit on that, because what you've got at the end of that holiday, and science won't measure this, you've got a camaraderie, a jubilation in that team that we know all about because we've looked at the history of festivals and holidays.
And even personally, I suppose, as well. I mean, personally, if you're feeling more reinvigorated because you know, footballers talk about how they miss their children's first steps all the time, and some of them even miss births and all this kind of stuff because they're having to play all the time.
And mental health in football, even at the highest level, you think these guys will wake up happy and go to sleep happy. It isn't like that, you know. And this must be a factor. It must be a factor.
The regimentedness of football actually is this really big thing, because footballers, and you know, football academies now, Jack, are taking in players as young as 5. Right. So you're there from 5 years old, and if you're fortunate enough, you go all the way through. And obviously, all the ones that we see on TV are always the ones that have been fortunate enough. They go all the way from 5 years old, right the way through up until they're, you know, say 35. So a good 30 years of their lives is almost entirely regimented. If you're one of the best players, you get told. Peter Crouch talked about this on his podcast. He talked about when he went on England duty. He walks into the changing room, right, and they're providing him with obviously his England tracksuit. He's got his England shoes. He's got his England underwear. It's all. Like he can't even choose what to wear anymore. Like, you know, and certain players aren't allowed to. I mean, there's always these kinds of things about contracts and things, and how certain players aren't allowed to ski. There was one football player, I can't remember his bloody name now. He wasn't allowed to go to space, right?
It was a blowjob, was it?
And there's all these kinds of
prudence gone mad.
Prudence, basically gone mad, Jack. And this is the thing, isn't it? Is that we're really trying to stop them from having that kind of freedom. And so when players retire at 35 and they wake up at 9:30 and think, now what? What do I do now?
Do you know who we used to do that to in Ireland? Priests. Yeah, you identify a young boy when he's 5 years old and regiment their life from then onwards. They wake up when they're 35 in a presbytery somewhere and they've got the screaming abdabs because they realised their life has not belonged to them. It's not healthy.
But actually, you speak about this because do you want to speak about your time in Spain?
What did I do in Spain? I can't remember.
When like for a good period of 6 months you were a monk.
Oh no, that wasn't in Spain. No, that wasn't in
Spain?
No, that was when I was younger than that. I was 18 and I was dabbling with being a monk. And yeah, it didn't work out because...
But explain why, yeah, because it's a good story.
Well, it was a lot of things really, but one of the things, I was in this monastery and I used to go for kind of long periods, long weekends really, at first. And because it had a church and they were saying mass, people used to come in from the local... And I was in there one day, like, you know, and still thinking about being a monk, and there was this girl who came in. She was really, really probably, I was 18, she was probably the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen in my life. And I thought, nah, can't do this.
I can't be a monk.
Can't be a monk, that's it. And it was a profound moment. I realised that I absolutely can't do this. And that was it, like, you know. But I did go back for a last time to that monastery. And coincidentally, there was a mass, and in she walks, and she was fine, like, but she wasn't the angelic being that I had remembered and reminiscent about. So it must have been at that moment where the prudence was so saturating me that all-encompassing that any spark of the real life of aesthetic beauty was exaggerated in my head
massively,
and I was just like, I was overpowered by quite a decent looking girl who I thought was absolutely the Botticelli's Venus.
And actually that's the thing, isn't it? Because if we kind of make recreational time almost a forbidden fruit for football players, they are going to fall foul of it. Because they're going to think, oh, I really want that night out. And then they go on that night out and they absolutely lose their marbles. If we were to kind of implement this a little bit more steadily, a little bit more kind of, you know, thoughtfully, carefully, being a prude, and really harnessing what philosophy has to say about this stuff and what this kind of ancient wisdom tells us, then actually it can be better for them in myriad ways, in so many ways.
I think so. I think the FA in particular has got to realise that they are Ebenezer England, and they've got to embrace the ghost of Christmas future and become a lot more...
The ghost of World Cup futures.
Yes, exactly. And you might have to take a few hits, I bet. If you start back on the 7th of January, I wouldn't mind betting there are a few slow games. Don't forget though, you're playing other teams who have had a time off.
Yes.
You know, so we're all on a level playing field here.
Actually, that.
And so take a hit on it, and a little bit of a gamble. And I think, to be honest, when it comes to England, they have got to roll the dice a bit in terms of it hasn't worked.
Because we're so close now. We're so close, and we have to try something maybe a little bit different.
Yeah. No,
I don't think Tommy Tuchel is the answer. But,
too prudent.
But exactly, too prudent. That's the thing, isn't it? He needs to be a bit more bacchanalian. Clearly, that's why for me, Sam Allardyce was really good.
He even looks like Dionysus, doesn't he? He's got a...
Oh dear.
If you ever refilm, you only used to have the Muppets Christmas Carol. If you did the football Christmas Carol and you had to cast people, Sam Allardyce would be the ghost of Christmas future, wouldn't he? Surrounded by all of this luxury. I can see it now in a toga and a lot of...
I can absolutely see Sam Allardyce in a toga. That's what haunts my nightmares, to be honest with you. Oh dear. Well, I think that was a good discussion. Have you got anything else to?
We have. Not to that, but people did get in touch with us to ask us who's the most stoic manager in the history of English football.
The most stoic manager. For me, you were in our previous episode, you were talking about how Stoics love to argue, and not argue with no purpose, but to argue to try and produce a result. Right?
Yeah.
The best manager at arguing to produce a result, and he always produced results, Sir Alex Ferguson. He's arguing this about. He would argue with his shadow if he thought it might get him 3 points. And I think Sir Alex Ferguson is the most.
That's a good call. That's a good call. For me, for different reasons, it's Bob Paisley. Bob Paisley would come out, be interviewed after a game. They just won the league or a European Cup, and you'd think like nothing had happened. Like he would talk to the camera like, "Yeah, it was a decent game." I was like, whoa.
Don't want to play poker with him.
You could not play poker with Bob Paisley because he just always talked like, he'd had a nice afternoon with his granny, drinking cups of tea and eating biscuits. It was lovely, wasn't it? But nothing more exciting than that.
Yeah.
So, and in both cases, I think that stoicism must have served them because they were reasonably successful, weren't they? Let's be honest.
Yeah, they were. Actually, both of them were, weren't they? Very successful. So some other correspondents actually was talking about who we think that football's Übermensch are. And the Übermensch are another philosopher, Friedrich Nietzsche. He talks about Übermensch, and Übermensch means it basically means Superman. It means it's kind of overman. So who do you? And I don't want to get into that because that's that is a discussion for season 2, I think.
Yeah.
But just very quickly, Jack, who do you think football's Übermensch are?
In terms of the whole team.
Whole team.
Yeah. Barcelona.
I think they're the Übermensch.
I think so. Yeah.
Why?
Just because I know that they have a few ups and downs, but just to be consistently great.
Yeah.
And it requires an attitude, and Nietzsche's attitude was you've got to feel like recognize you can't make yourself a Superman, but you'll kind of come to realize it and embrace it. And that's why he argues with the whole philosophy. He says that to ruin civilization is this Christianity with its meek and humbleness. Don't do meek and humble. Embrace your greatness, embrace your Superman, your Übermensch. I think they do that fairly consistently.
I quite like that actually. Yeah, that's quite nice. And obviously they have the whole political thing behind them as well.
Yeah, of course.
That's really interesting. Yeah, I like that a lot. And actually, and Nietzsche talks about kind of having to overcome struggles all the time, and Barcelona financially are in a right mess.
Yeah.
And actually, I think we'll be talking about this a little on when we talk about corruption in football, or at least a moral decay in football in season 2. But Barcelona, they talk about pulling financial levers, right? Because they haven't got any money. So if they want to buy a player, what they relatively recently did was they're going to build a new camp, right? And they've sold off some of the season tickets to some of those seats already, even though it's not been built yet.
Yeah.
That's just how they get like a revenue stream in, so that they can buy a player and fund him because they haven't got any money themselves, and that's just you can't sell seats.
No.
You haven't got the seats.
Although next time the bank manager calls me and I'm going to say I'm pulling financial levers, mate. That's what's happening here. And you'll say, off you go, Jack. That's brilliant.
Brilliant. Thank you very much. Actually, so I know we reflected a little bit on season 1, but we are kind of last week. But we are in our last episode, but we are kind of at the end now. This is it.
Yeah.
Season 2 is going to be coming early next year, kind of late January time. I can't remember what date we said now, but towards the end of January.
Yeah.
I think it's gone really well, Jack. I think we've got better at it.
Yeah. You're a Übermensch.
We're Übermensch.
And it all started off as a tree. That's remarkable.
I've grown, Jack. I've grown. We've gone from Karl Marx and Ange Postecoglou to where else have we gone?
Camus and Sartre was thrown in there along the way. Hyper-reality.
God, we've been talking about absolute shite, haven't we? Because in the episode I'm thinking, God, this sounds really good. And I'm not sure. Oh dear.
Oh.
But we, you know, it's growing into a thing actually. And
I hope so. Yeah. We've just got to get those guys out there, telling their friends, telling their family. Tell everybody.
Absolutely everybody. And actually, so we're hoping to kind of drum up a bit more interest, aren't we, Jack? Because I don't know if everyone's seen what we're wearing here. I don't want to get a bit full Monty about it, but look at these babies.
Oh, only 2 in the world exist.
2 in the world. These are Fast Football and Philosophy, the podcast hoodies.
Mm-hmm.
And they can win one, Jack.
Oh, lucky person out there can win one.
They can win one.
They have to do something.
They do. What do they have to do, Jack?
Okay, so we've got a Boxing Day quiz. All right, and in this quiz, all you have to do, we're going to read you a quote. Might be about football, it might be about football-related concepts and issues. You have to say whether it's a philosopher or a football. So we'll say, number 1, here's the quote. You just simply say, is that a philosopher or a footballer?
And what we'd like you to do is, so we'll put this on our social media channels as well, because we actually do have some social media channels. We just haven't had time to actually add anything to them yet. But we will be adding this in for the quiz, so that you can see that you can see them as well. You don't have to remember exactly what we're saying, but we kind of want to say them anyway.
Yeah.
So Jack, if you go first, and then I'll say the second one, and we'll go that way.
Okay. My first quote is this: when 100 men stand together, each of them loses his mind and gets another. It's a nice quote.
Sounds good. The second one is: today, most people see football as a competition, a confrontation, a war between polar opposites. But to start with, it is a great form of art.
Excellent quote. Okay, number 3. I would not be bothered if we lost every game, as long as we won the league. I think that's a fairly easy one.
Number 4. In professional football, like everything else, the crime does not matter so long as the alibi is good.
Number 5. A football team represents a way of being, a culture.
Short but sweet. 6. There are scientists who tell you that spirit, because it can't be measured, does not exist. I can't even say it. Bollocks. Why did you give me the one that matters, by the way? It does exist.
Okay, fantastic. That was so. 7. Football is a model of individualistic society. It demands initiative, competition, and conflict.
Number 8. Power is only too happy to make football bear a diabolical responsibility for stupefying the masses.
Number 9. If God had meant football to be played in the air, he'd have put grass up there.
Number 10. I've never seen a sack of money score a goal.
11. Train the right way, help each other. It's football. It's a form of socialism without the politics.
Oh, that's bad. Football, a game in which everyone gets hurt and every nation has its own style of play, which seems unfair to foreigners.
And last one, lucky 13. Football is simple. You are in time or too late. When you are too late, you have to leave earlier.
So, just to recap, what you have to do to enter this competition is you have to answer all of the questions and write them in to us. So what we'd like you to do is you can either email us at fastfootballandphilosophy@gmail.com, or you can DM our Instagram account, which is exactly the same name. We'd also like you to follow the Instagram account, And what we'll be doing is we'll be cross-referencing, cross-checking all of the people who like the Instagram page and submitting their answers to us. And then what will happen is all of the people that answer the questions, if let's say 10 people get 8 right or 10 people get 10 right, then those 10 will be put into a draw and we'll release, and Jack will pull them out of a Santa's hat on season 2, episode 1. So you'll have to stay tuned to find out if they win the hoodie, Jack.
Okay, yeah. The hoodie could be winging its way to you in January, and that will be a wonderful way to beat the January blues.
Yeah, to become invigorated, Jack. That's
yeah,
what we want.
yeah, invigorated and indulge in some jubilation.
Oh, lovely, jubbly. Also, bearing in mind it is post-Christmas, you'll also have to let us know what size you want, because it might change.
Yeah.
It might change, but we don't want to know your size, because otherwise we might be selling you an extra small and you're an extra large. So, like me. So I guess with that, I guess we're done then, Jack.
That's it. That's it.
I want to go and have some pints.
Yeah. That's it for 2025. Signing off.
Season 2 incoming.
Yeah.
Well, it's a goodbye from me.
And a goodbye from me. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Happy Christmas.
Happy Christmas.